When was the last time your boss said thank you? Do you get that feeling that he or she knows how much you really do? Do you think you could do a better job than them? Well, to be honest, I've often thought the same. Because in this video, I'm going to tell you why I, as a leader, am way ahead of my time and get really frustrated at seeing other leaders make very simple mistakes. Before we get into that, did you know that 79% of employees will quit due to the lack of appreciation? Let me put it another way. 8 out of 10 people who leave a job in the next 12 months will do so due to their leadership not showing appreciation. I mean, talk about serious disengagement. That's why being a good leader is critical to the success of a business. Now, I know many perceive leadership as a title that has to be deserved or earned, but I mean, that's nonsense, right? Leadership is the art of persuasion. Call it the act of motivating people to do more than they ever thought possible in pursuit of a greater good. Frankly, it has nothing to do with your title. It also has nothing to do with authority or seniority. I mean, you're not a leader just because you have people reporting to you. And you don't suddenly become a leader once you reach a certain pay grade. A true leader influences others to be their best. I mean, leadership is all about social influence and not positional power. John Quincy Adams put it best when he said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." I would go one step further to say that you don't even need to have people reporting to you to be a leader. I mean, a janitor can influence people just as much as a CEO can lead too. I mean, it's important to recognize that the opposite is also true. I mean, anyone can become a follower, even while holding a leadership position. If you're a slave to the status quo, for example, lack vision or don't motivate everyone around you to be their absolute best, then you are a follower. Even if you happen to have a leadership title, people won't follow you when they see those behaviors present. A senior executive who creates unnecessary bureaucracy, now we all know how effing annoying that is, locks herself in her office and fails to interact with others in any meaningful way, is no more a leader than an antisocial software engineer who refuses to do anything but write code. Leadership can take many forms, but it's fair to say that this role has changed over the years. The demands on being a leader of the future have risen considerably as technology continues to shake up the world that we live in. That's why, even though I am a data leader, I see myself as a bit unusual, because I actually believe that people are more important than data. Yes, data is important, but it's an output, because people bring it to life. Listening recently to a podcast called Eat, Sleep, Work, Repeat, the discussion turned to what the leaders of the future will be like. I mean, to say that it resonated strongly with me is a bit of an understatement. I see one of my main responsibilities as a leader is to create an environment that allows my teams to perform at their best. To get the best out of them, you will need to work out what that means, but it is my job to help create that environment so that they can do what they do best. I mean, let's be honest, you don't come to work to learn how to trust someone, do you? I mean, anyway, so for me, creating a high-performing and progressive team is all about allowing the teams to do their best work. There are so many facets that make up this environment. I mean, everything from cognitive diversity to location to mentality. But as a leader, it is my responsibility to understand the mix of individuals in the team and subsequently how to get the best out of them. And the way to do this? Being empathetic. This, for me, is the absolute secret sauce. It's all about allowing your team members to feel at ease so that they can do their best work. They feel able to approach me with a problem and are empowered to make decisions. It is my job to create that environment and then shield them from all the shit that can distract them. I create a force field, if you will, to think about the Star Wars environment, or air cover, to use another term. This is the noise and crap you have to deal with as a leader, so it doesn't flow downwards, and nor should it. The role of a leader is about not passing on the bollocking that you've just been given, but passing on the praise to the team. You need to trust your team to do the right thing. But that's why empathy is so important. If we take the definition, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, it becomes really clear that for us to be able to perform at our best, the leadership needs to know what makes their teams tick. I have no doubt that empathy will become a buzzword and be plastered all over the place in coming years as we talk about leaders of the future. But I've been doing this for over a decade already. It's my connection with my team that I think makes the difference. They know far more than I do. but I can create the environment and direction that allows them to do what they do best. And that's why I'm way ahead of my time. But it doesn't mean that you can't be either. So along with being an empathetic leader, if you want to become a leader of the future and also being inspired by Jacob Morgan, here are the top 5 skills to master. Number 1, be a coach. Great coaches motivate, inspire, and engage their teams while caring about each member as an individual. In the same way, future leaders need to appreciate employees as individuals, as opposed to viewing everyone as just workers. I mean, the best coaches and leaders develop their people to be more successful than them. To emphasize this point, a favorite quote of mine is, "Good leaders hire great people and then get out their way." Steve Jobs, probably heard of him, also had a similar approach when he famously quipped, "It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and then tell them what to do. We at Apple hire smart people so they can tell us what to do." Number 2 is about looking into the future. I like to think of myself as a futurist. Now, it's up to futurists to make sure organisations aren't surprised by what the future might bring. The world in which we live and work is continually changing and full of unknowns. I mean, you've only got to look at COVID-19 for that, for example. Futurists consider multiple scenarios and think through new possibilities. They stay on top of trends and connected to their networks. I mean, I am constantly asking what will affect us in 3 to 5 years, because if we haven't considered it yet, and we wait 3 to 5 years, it's going to be too late. Now, I work in the private equity world at the moment, and this is having a bit of a challenge, because at the moment there are companies like Titan Bay and Moonfair who are properly disrupting the industry. It's only a matter of time before it affects our business, and we won't be able to deal with it in 3 to 5 years' time. We need to deal with it now, because this, I believe, is our Netflix and Blockbuster moment. Number 3 is about becoming a technology teenager. I mean, if you look back on your time as a teenager, you were probably up to date with the latest trends and technology as ever before. The internet had just been born at the very end of my teens, but I distinctly remember being fascinated about the rise of mobile phones, dial-up internet, and MP3s. In fact, my first mobile phone didn't even have a vibrate function. Those feel like very long days away. But teenagers seem to always be current on the latest technology, and future leaders must be the same. Future leaders don't need to be experts in the practical application of these new technologies. Oh no, but they should embrace technology and know how to best leverage it to serve their company. That said, they must be tech savvy and digitally fluent. Number 4 is about going into translator mode. I mean, the best way to describe this is to become Google Translate. Not actually the app, but why, you ask? Well, because translators are master communicators. When you interact with someone from a different language, having a translator helps bridge the knowledge gap. I think these people have superpowers. They listen to understand and do far more than hear what people are saying. They use non-verbal and verbal communication to connect people and know the best channels to cut through the noise and deliver the right message. Listening and communication are 2 timeless aspects of great leadership, yet they are also the 2 which are changing the most. As an aside, we should also do much more listening, especially in leadership roles. Not enough is done, in my opinion, because far too often it is presumed that leaders have all the answers, while this is an absolute fallacy. So please, if you're a leader, listen more. Now, number 5 is a bit unusual because it's about being emotional. Okay, so this may come more easily to some than others, and it doesn't mean that you should start pouring your heart out all over the place, because rather for decades, leaders have shied away from being emotional. But in the future, leaders need to be emotionally intelligent and develop their empathy and self-awareness. Great communicators build connection and aren't afraid to be vulnerable. Empathy understands the feelings and perspective of others. Self-awareness is about understanding your strengths and weaknesses and helping others understand theirs as well. This is one I feel really strongly about because, as I mentioned earlier, being empathetic is what marks me out as being a leader from the future. If you're interested, have a click in the link above because I talk about why to be a successful leader you should be vulnerable at some point. But that's it. The role of a leader is shifting and evolving, and as we deal with the changing landscape of work, things like the pandemic have made hybrid working the norm, and as such, like the old leadership styles no longer work. That's why it is vital to look to the future and see what we can get ahead of and what is coming. This gives us the greatest advantage to succeed in our careers. But with that, if you like this video, please do check out this one here, where I talk about why the 6 reasons for saying nothing is showing true leadership. I think you'll find it really useful. But with that, have a great day. and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.